Okay. Okay.
I mean, Justin on Friday probably. Yeah, I didn't send it to you.
Oh, I was like, okay, good.
No, I know, I'm right here.
Yeah.
I know. I wanted to tell people, you might get, like, there may be teachers that are getting this stuff from the school. Yeah, because it's weird, it's being held up.
I wonder why.
I don't know, because I have a lot of that. But I'm getting stuff.
Right.
And then it's sending it, but it's sending it on their time. I haven't stopped, so it's. You still have everything in your house? No, some of it's started.
Maybe that's what she's talking about. Never mind. Never mind.
Do you have like the delay? Okay.
Oh my God. That's cool.
So I was like, sure, here you go. I wonder. Yeah, they emailed me.
All right.
They approved. Which is fantastic. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Abington High School Board meeting for Wednesday, July 19th. Would everyone please rise and pledge the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we please have roll call?
Mr. Abdullah?
Here.
Mr. Azar?
Here.
Mr. Fleming?
Here.
Mrs. Henderson?
Here.
Mrs. Karam?
Here.
Mr. Medensky?
Here.
Mr. Robeson?
Here.
Mrs. Tierney?
Here.
Mr. Acker?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda for the,
So moved.
Second.
on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdullah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes for the board meeting of June 21st?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Are there any board reports at this time from committee?
I don't have a committee report, but I have an AEIO report meeting.
Please.
We had a very nice summertime meeting with our administrators. The AEIO got to share with the administrators our mission statement and worked with them to understand some of our policies and programs that we're working on. In the meantime, the district has presented with a proposal for a series of Chromebooks. And I just got word that they did do a vote this afternoon, and they voted to purchase 96 Chromebooks for the district for approximately worth $40,000. So the AEIO will be putting that in tomorrow, and the district can move forward in purchasing those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other reports? With that, Dr. Schaefer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Acker. At this time, I would like to welcome our colleagues from PFM who will be providing the board with an update regarding the bank loan.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm Jamie Doyle from PFM Financial Advisors, and with me this evening is my colleague, Garrett Moore. Zach Williard sends his apologies that he could not be here this evening. You should each have a copy of our handout at your places. This contains the results from the competitive bank loan RFP process that we held. I think you're going to be really pleased with the results. If you look at page number 2, Interest rates on a long-term basis continue to hover below historic averages, so that's all good news for your bank loan consideration this evening. On page 3, you will see a summary of the results from the winning bank loan coming from Wayne Bank. We'll look at the summary of proposals in just a minute, but you had a lot of interest in this particular bank loan. You had 12 different banks vying for this loan, so that's all good competition. And so as you look down column 4, that will look very similar to the original projections that we originally shared with you. If you turn to page 4, you'll see the amortization schedule. Principal in column 2, illustrating the wraparound debt service structure that we spoke about before, and the winning proposal in column 3 of a 4.5%. You can see interest in column 4, and then semi-annual debt service in column 5. This particular page assumes that all the funds are actually drawn down at settlement. However, this does have a drawdown facility, so if you so choose, you can draw the funds as you need them along the way. If you look at page 5, you'll see a summary of the sources and uses of funds. So the total principal amount, again, is $1,047,000 under sources, and then when you look under uses, you'll see that after the estimated costs of issuance that will be paid from loan proceeds at settlement, you'll be left with a construction fund deposit of $1 million. And anything on that miscellaneous rounding line that is not needed, that's for things like advertising and out-of-pocket expenses, some small items, but anything that's left on that miscellaneous rounding line will also go into your construction fund deposit at settlement. Settlement will be scheduled for August 23rd if you accept the Wayne Bank proposal this evening, and the yield of the issue, that's the rate we'll report to the IRS, is just a hair under that 4.5% mark. If you look at page 6, you'll see what your debt portfolio will look like after this loan. So you see your old 2015 bonds in column 2, and now we've added column 3 to reflect the 2023 general obligation note. Top half is debt service, bottom half is local effort, but both are the same because you don't receive any plan-con reimbursement from the state on either of these issues. Page 7 is just a summary of some of the highlights. I won't belabor those, as well as listing the financing team members. And then page 9 is a summary of those 12 different bank proposals that we received. So we drew a red dotted line around the one that we're recommending that you accept this evening. And again, that's a fixed rate of 4.5%. for a 12-month drawdown feature, fixed through maturity. You can see there are no bank fees, which many of the other proposals had bank fees. It's prepayable at any time without penalty, and there were no additional terms or conditions, which is a really positive thing. And then finally, if you look at page 11, you will see the actual proposal from Wayne Bank. They've already gone ahead and signed it, and if you accept their proposal this evening, you'll be countersigning. So in conclusion, we were very happy with the process, very pleased with this end result that we're able to share with you this evening. We would recommend that you accept the winning Wayne Bank proposal as outlined. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have at this time before I turn it over to your bond counsel to highlight the resolution.
Mr. Asa.
So it's a 4.5% fixed rate, and it's prepayable at any time. And how long, if we drew it tomorrow, what's the term of the loan? What's the
Yep.
the
So
final
that's
term?
page 4. So you can see, and I'm focused on column 2 when I say this, you can see the wraparound structure of the principal. You start off with smaller principal payments in the first couple of years. Most of the principal matures in 2027 and 2028 fiscal years. So March 1 of 2028 will be your final payment. The new debt wraps around your old 2015 bonds so that you have level payments by state law at the
Right.
end of the day, and that's what column 10 illustrates.
Gotcha.
All in.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Does this contract, excuse me, this contract allows us, according to the red dotted line, we're not choosing this, but it allows us the option to lower our interest rate with matching deposits?
That was on their first proposal. That was on the first line there.
Right.
That-
Do we
that
still
was-
have the option if we sign off on this proposal here that I'm reading, this one?
No, this would be a fixed 4.5%.
Okay, so this line's not on here.
Right, that
Okay.
condition isn't part of the red dotted box, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Anything else?
Okay, I will turn it over, if I may, to Jens Damgaard, your bond counsel from Eckert Siemens, to go over the resolution.
Good evening. Again, I'm Jens Tomgard. I served as bond counsel to the district back in 2015 when we did the bond issue, and serve in that capacity here on this borrowing. Basically, draft the documents, provide the legal opinions that are required for this type of tax-exempt borrowing. So what I'm summarizing is a resolution that you have on your agenda. And what that resolution does is the only formal action required by the board to accept and approve everything you just heard. It authorizes this new general obligation note with the terms that were just outlined and secures that with the pledge of the full faith, credit, and taxing power of the district. That's the collateral. No mortgages or things like that. It's the district's good credit that enables that low interest rate to take effect. We're complying with a state law known as the Local Government Unit Debt Act. It applies to all Pennsylvania entities that have taxing power. There's a process where we file documents with the state, we seek their approval, and then upon that approval, we can close on the loan. And we would basically set up what's in effect a line of credit that you can then draw on as you need it. Or if you choose, you could draw it at any time, all of it up front. But it gives that flexibility to draw it because you have a number of projects, obviously, which are outlined in the resolution as well. So again, that's there for your flexibility. So that'll come up on your agenda, just requires a roll call vote and a majority for approval. So with that, I'll answer any questions you might have. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Schaefer?
That's it, it's on to you.
Okay. In that case, we're on to the public comment section of our meeting. I'm going to ask, when you come forward, please state your name, where in the district you live. I just want to remind people that to ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And first person is Sandy Betts.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandy Betts. I live in South Abington Township, and Morgan Reiner couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to read a letter in her behalf. Dear school board members, I hope this letter finds you in good health and high spirits. I'm writing to you as the head coach of the girls volleyball team here at Abington Heights with an important matter, creating a junior high volleyball team within our district. As we all know, extracurricular activities are vital to a student's holistic development. They provide physical fitness, teamwork, leadership, discipline, and personal growth opportunities. Unfortunately, our school district currently lacks a junior high volleyball program, which deprives our students of these valuable opportunities and experiences for growth. Here are some compelling reasons why creating a junior high volleyball team is of utmost importance. Health and fitness. Volleyball is a highly active sport that promotes physical fitness, agility, and coordination. By participating in volleyball, students can develop lifelong habits and exercise and stay physically fit. Number 2, teamwork and collaboration. Volleyball is a team-oriented sport that requires teamwork, close collaboration, and communication. Students will learn to work together, develop trust, and understand the importance of a collective effort. Number 3, leadership and responsibility. Being a part of a team, especially a competitive sport like volleyball, allows students to take on leadership roles. Captains and team members can quickly emerge, allowing them to develop leadership qualities such as decision-making, problem-solving, and accountability. Number 4, time management and prioritization. Being a part of a volleyball team demands effective time management skills. Student athletes must balance their academics, practice sessions, and games, teaching them invaluable lessons in time management and discipline. Number 5, school spirit and community engagement. The presence of a junior high volleyball team will help foster school spirit and pride within our district. It will also bring a community engagement as friends, families, and other community members will support the growing student athletes. Number 6, long-term athletic development. The junior high volleyball team will serve as a feeder program from our high school team. By introducing students to the sport at an earlier stage, we can lay a strong foundation for their athletic development, potentially leading to more competitive high school teams and individual achievements in the future. I understand that the allocation of resources and establishment of a new program requires careful consideration. However, I firmly believe that investing in a junior high volleyball team will provide significant long-term benefits for our students, our school district, our community, and our very own high school volleyball team. Thank you for your time, attention, and consideration. I look forward to positive action being taken in this matter. Sincerely, Morgan Reiner, head coach, girls volleyball. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Christine Krempaski.
Hello. I'm Dr. Christine Krempaski. I'm a parent in Abington Heights School District. I have a daughter, Elena, who's going into 8th grade, and I have a son, Nathan, going into 9th grade. One day, volleyball will be the most popular sport in the world. Maybe you'll be the reason why. That's a quote from a Nike ad that I ripped out of a volleyball magazine when I was about middle school age, and I pinned it on my corkboard. As a young athlete, that was my inspiration. That was my motivation. That was my drive to always be better. I used to read that quote over and over again and dreamed of being the next Misty May, Holly McPeak, Carrie Jennings-Walsh. If you don't know those names, those are some of the best volleyball players that have ever played the game. I did have some success. I didn't become the next Carrie Walsh, but I grew up down in Philly and I started playing volleyball in 5th grade, and I played at the University of Scranton for 4 years with 2 NCAA appearances. When I decided to move up to Northeast Pennsylvania and raise my family here, I didn't realize there was such a void in youth volleyball programs. I connected with Nicole Wentz, who's going to speak later, followed her vision, followed her initiative, and we have made some really great strides in youth volleyball in the area. I am one of the founding board members of Abington Youth Volleyball League and coached for several years. I am also a current coach, board member, and parent with Endless Momentum Volleyball Club, which is based in Clark Summit. I also coached the parent-sponsored junior high program volleyball team last fall for Abington Heights. My daughter played volleyball last year, parent-sponsored, and she also played softball, school-sponsored, while she was in 7th grade. And when you ask her what her favorite sport is, hands down, it's volleyball. But if you ask her what her favorite sports season was last year, she'll say softball. The reason being, she had the school sponsorship gave her a better experience overall. Due to having more in-school support, also feeling like part of a team, it was definitely stronger. In a middle schooler's mind, the bus rides, the team camaraderie, being a true Comet made a difference. As of 2022, the National Federation of High School Sports has reported that volleyball is the most popular girls' team sport in the nation, track and field being the most popular individual sport. As an adult, as a coach, as an ambassador for the sport, the quote that I read in the beginning of my short speech has a whole other meaning. We have certainly made a difference in Northeast PA with youth volleyball, and adding volleyball to the junior high level will help our district keep up with the rest of the nation and provide more opportunities for our athletes. Currently, girls volleyball for the fall, high school, is the only sport that doesn't have a feeder program from our middle school as a fall program. Lacrosse and volleyball for boys volleyball in the spring are the only two programs at the high school level that don't have feeder programs. So again, I truly believe that volleyball is becoming one of the most popular sports in the world, and I think Abington Heights needs to do their part. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nicole Wentz.
Good evening, board members. My name is Nicole Wentz, and I live in Newton Township and Ransom Township. Yes, my house lives in both, so make of that what you will. But I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. I come to you as not only of a parent of two Abington Heights high school volleyball players, but also as someone in the community that's known as the Volleyball Lady. I'm a founding member of the Abington Youth Volleyball League, as well as the club owner of Endless Momentum Volleyball Club, and also the head varsity coach for Scranton High School volleyball team that was just started last year. You already heard the letter from Coach Reiner, and Coach Spangler from the boys volleyball team is here as well. But I wanted to give you a little history of the parent-sponsored junior high program to begin with. So for 6 years or so, I'd been begging former Director Hanyon for a junior high volleyball team. And he kept saying, and his response was accurate, if we form one, who will we play? Because Tunkhannock at the time was the only other school that had a program. 2 years ago, in August, he called me up late August 31st probably, and said, I found out there is a league. And all the schools in the Wyoming Valley Conference have been playing in a junior high volleyball league for the last several years. They would practice during the week, and they would play on Saturdays. And so he said, I found someone for us to play. But he also said, it's August 31st. Their first match, the first tournament, if I can get us in, is September 10th. There's no way I'm going to get it in front of the board before then. So why don't you use it, channel it through Abington Youth Volleyball League? And so that's what we proceeded to do the first year. And then the second year, because it became a lot of work on our volunteer staff, our Endless Momentum funded it and parents sponsored it that way. The problem is that, and I'm going to be honest, Dr. Krampansky and myself were the two main people that were funneling it, and both of our kids after this year will no longer be in junior high. And so the program will fail. Like, I don't mean this meanly, but I am also the Scranton volleyball coach. I can't coach Scranton and Abington Heights Junior High and a club team, so on and so forth. So in order for this program to become sustainable, it would be better if it was school-sponsored. The expenses, I'm not sure if Mr. Mastriani gave you the proposal, and if not, I will email it to you all after the fact. But the expenses are minimal, given that you already have the gym space at CSE, which was already provided. They were already giving us uniforms to wear, and the parents were driving their athletes to the tournaments on Saturdays. Buses would be preferred for that team atmosphere that Mrs. Krampansky described, but I think that that's the main point. And in final thoughts, I just want you to know that we have several families here today. There are several families, because this is the middle of July, that also could not make it. But it would be nice if Abington could join the rest of the Wyoming Valley Conference, North Pocono, Dunmore, Scranton in the next year, to also have middle school programs. And as Coach Krampansky mentioned, it is the only team sport that does not have a middle school program. So how will our high school program grow if kids can play junior high and something else and then are exposed to volleyball in 9th grade? Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you very much. Jamie Spangler.
Hi, I'm Jamie Spangler. I'm in Newton Township. I've been the boys volleyball coach for the past 11 years, and I'm just going to kind of echo what Nicole and Dr. Krampansky just discussed, and in Morgan's letter as well. I think it is pretty clear. the benefit of having opportunities for our athletes, for our students, and avenues for them to be part of a team sport. And adding a volleyball program makes a lot of sense. In addition to being the Abington Heights boys volleyball coach, I also coach at the University of Scranton women's team. And I can tell you from an opportunity standpoint for the next level for our athletes, we are far behind the curve for volleyball. If our hopes are for our athletes to continue on in their college careers in the sports that they play, I think that a junior high program would be extremely helpful. I know as a coach at the University of Scranton, as much as I would love to have some athletes on my team that are local, I grew up in this area, I would love to have some local kids. They are not competitively up to the curve of other areas. So Chris had mentioned that volleyball on the girls' side is the largest sport for participation. And on the boys' side, it is growing extremely rapidly, and it is the fastest growing NCAA sport is men's volleyball. So I think that it is extremely helpful to have a junior high program, and I think that everybody would benefit. And then also just having those more opportunities for our junior high students to play a sport where we have a limited number, and adding another sport would give them another opportunity to be part of a team sport, of which Morgan highlighted very well in her letter the advantages of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank all of you for speaking on behalf of junior high volleyball. You certainly have a lot of passion, and we appreciate your comments. Next speaker would be Margie Leno.
Good evening. My name is Margie Lomeo, and I'm the Executive Director of Northeastern Child Care Services. I was hoping that you would call Amber Sheridan, Director of our Daydreamers, up first, because she's going to individually go over a lot of lists of some problems we're seeing with your proposal of bringing the YMCA of Dunmore in to provide after-school care and kindergarten care. As I said, I operate the Treasure House Child Development Center in Clark Summit. We have been providing the exact care for the past 12 years to our Abington community that you are now partnering with the YMCA of Dunmore to provide. Treasure House, Daydreamers, and the 2 other early learning facilities in the Abington School District have been providing these services successfully. Your decision to allow the YMCA of Dunmore to come in to provide this will result in the likelihood of putting 1, if not all 4 of our centers out of business. This will affect not just the kindergarten students and the school-age students, but it will also affect the infants, toddlers, and preschool children we serve. If we're not there to operate, where are they going? What's the plan for that? The past 3 years, for all early child care providers, we have been having nothing but a constant struggle. Your decision not only affects the kindergarten, but it affects it all. There's the continuity of care that families have come to depend on us. They start as infants and they go all the way up to your school, all the way up to kindergarten, all the way up to graduation. Since the start of the pandemic, 2,189 early learning centers in Pennsylvania have closed their door. Since 2021 until this month, 20 in the state of Pennsylvania, in our region, Lackawanna County, Wayne County, Susquehanna County, have closed their doors. Your decision to partner with the YMCA will most definitely have an impact in our community and on those numbers. Again, who will care for the infants and toddlers and preschool children? I'm proud to be a graduate of the Abington Heights School District. That degree of excellence was the start of my higher education that led to my passion in the early childhood education field. 30 years, not just in the Abington community, but in 3 counties and 5 other centers, we have provided this care, equally with the other providers that are going to be affected that. I have chosen to build my life in the community as well as my business. It's a shame that you did not reach out to any of the 4 providers. Collectively, we have the knowledge and experience to formulate a plan to best meet the needs of all the children that we have served. I urge you to reconsider your decision and do what's best for the children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Amber Sheridan.
Good evening, Amber Sheridan, Newton Township. Dear school board members, I'm speaking today as an Abington graduate, a taxpayer with 2 children in the district. As an active member of our Abington community, I not only serve as treasurer of the Newton Ransom Elementary PTO, but I am in the building on numerous occasions volunteering. Tonight I come to you also as a business owner. As owner and director of Daydreamers Childcare in Newton Township, I have reached out to you previously with questions that have still gone unanswered. And in my meetings with directors and owners of various early learning and childcare centers already serving the Abingtons, I'm speaking to you tonight on behalf of them as well. We are in agreement, and while we all have specific areas of this issue that we are struggling with, we are all in agreement that this was a rushed decision done with little to no research and has disrespected our businesses, our clientele, our educated and dedicated staff, and the work that we have put into providing high-quality care and learning to children and families of the Abingtons for over 15 years. All of these individuals that I speak on behalf of today are Abington graduates, have between 12 to 30 years experience in the field, and have all been working with the children of the district for at least 10 years or more. With this background comes the knowledge of the Abington Heights building layouts, the schedules, and their routines. So when the YMCA's director was questioned about how she will ensure the safety of the children in her program, as well as the many students who will be entering the school buildings and in attendance while her kindergarten program is operating, her answers, or lack thereof, were concerning. I know you have received emails asking some important questions, and tonight I am here hoping that you will have some answers. 1, how are Dr. Schaefer and the school board members prepared to address multiple building security issues that will occur with the YMCA allowing the school doors to be unlocked, allowing parents and others without proper clearances to enter and potentially roam the building unattended? Is the YMCA staff responsible to monitor this, and if so, what measures are being taken to ensure this? 2, regarding the YMCA's repeated state citations of hiring employees without proper clearances and training, how is the administration prepared to ensure the safety of our children and staff members within the buildings given the YMCA's alarming citations for lack of proper clearances and qualifications? 3, was the building usage form utilized for this program? If so, was it brought before the board for approval? If they are running a program in the school during school hours, does this require a different form? And if so, has that form been approved by the board? Will there be a fee charged to the YMCA for using the facilities, or will these buildings be opened early and remain open late, all being used at taxpayer cost for 180 days of the school year? Who will be providing transportation for the YMCA program? Is advertised transportation will be provided to and from 3 elementary schools to Newton Ransom for their half-day care? Will this be a district bus? Will the YMCA be paying the district for this service? Has the board voted to approve that decision? In the last 5 years, other local child care programs have been denied operating a program similar to that of the YMCA's in the district due to security, safety, and liability concerns. What has changed now to dismiss those previous concerns? I'm almost done, I'm sorry. From the limited answers we have been given in emails from Dr. Schaefer and the board, as well as the YMCA's program director, as it stands now, not only is this program by an outside the district entity not up to the high standards that Abington Heights School District is known for, but it is an extreme safety concern that also could have a great impact on the area child care centers to a point of closure. None of these are what Abington stands for. From what I've always been taught, Abington Heights stands for excellence, and potentially endangering children and staff or putting Abington businesses in jeopardy definitely does not reflect excellence. Thank you for your attention to these concerns. It is our hope that these concerns are taken seriously to ensure the safety and security of our students, staff, and community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Tierney, I believe you had wanted to make some comments about junior high hockey.
I just had a couple questions about volleyball. The junior high volleyball, as you're stating it, is that inclusive of 9th grade? Is it 7th, 8th, and 9th? or it,
So the league that it creates, like PIAA-wide, it could be 7th, 8th, and 9th, but the league that the athletic director has established was only for 7th and 8th.
and that league would be the Wyoming Conference League? Is that?
Well, I mean, it has Wyoming Conference, and it had Abington and a few other, like, North Dakota and friends.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, Dr. Schaefer?
No.
Okay. In that case, I'd like to move on to the personnel report, please.
Or the treasurer's bills? Yeah, you're taking mine.
Discussion items of treasurer. Mr. Bodensky, once again.
Yes, sir.
Apologize.
We started June with a balance of $13,096,293. We had monthly revenues during July of $4,653,643. We had net disbursements of $4,552,218, which leaves us a cash balance of $13,197,717.
Thank you very much. I'd like a motion to approve the treasurer's
So
report.
moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, I'd ask that the board consider a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Second. On the motion?
I have a question. A few of these retirements seem to be falling under the Director of Building and Grounds or custodial staff. Is there a plan to put new people in place after these retirements, or are we going to subcontract that out?
So as for the Director of Building and Grounds, we've already posted the anticipated position. And Mr. Mirabelli is reviewing the applicants, and it continues to be open on different platforms. As for the custodian, I think Mr. Mirabelli can speak of that.
Yeah, I think we look at the effectiveness and cost when any time anyone retires. So we're reviewing that. We'll probably take a two-pronged approach to say, is it better to keep it in-house for a part-time person or to subcontract it? But we do carefully evaluate each position and do a cost-benefit analysis anytime a position becomes available.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, I'd ask the board consider a motion to approve the July 2023 volunteer list.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, I'd ask the board consider a motion to approve the July 2023 tuition reimbursement report.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call?
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Acker, I'd ask the board consider a motion to approve the Children's Service Center's partial hospitalization program and the therapeutic educational program, along with the HIPAA confidentiality document for the 2023-24 school year.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the 2023-24 Memorandum of Understanding between Abington Heights School District and the Lackawanna County Head Start.
So moved.
Second?
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the 2023-24 Abington Heights Elementary, Middle School, and High School handbooks.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion?
I just want to make the comment to all administrators doing these. These handbooks were beautiful this year. Nice job for all of you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the agreement between the Abington Heights School District and MySIL Transitional Skills Center for Special Education Services.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask that the board consider a motion to appoint Kathy Platt, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, as real estate tax collector for Waverly Township, Newton Township, South Abington Township, and the Borough of Clark's Green for the 2023 taxes.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to appoint Scott Thorpe, Clark Summit, PA, as a real estate tax collector for North Abington Township, Glenburn Township, Ransom Township, Clark Summit Borough for the 2023 taxes.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to approve the transportation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert, ask the board consider a motion to accept the proposal from Fitness Headquarters in the amount of $96,332.70 for the high school fitness room.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Mr. Azar.
Yeah, sure. I just want to make a comment on this for those in the community that don't know what this is. The fitness center is a separate room from the main field house weight room. This has been a underutilized but a lot of potential room for not just our in-school classes, which have classes there, but all of our sports teams to access. And I won't go into all the details today, but this is a really fantastic thing for our student athletes and the development of Abington Heights programs. The weight room that we have currently is very small, and it is not conducive to a lot of the teams going in there, and this is going to be a really great new place for our student athletes to work out. I'll also make a comment, there's a couple more things coming on the agenda tonight, and they're athletics related. We have a new committee structure with the board now, obviously, in the last 12 months. And the extracurricular committee has spent a lot of time with our athletic director and our other administrators on coming up with projects to do. These are the first few, and they happen to be sports related. I will say that we've had many discussions about lots of needs that we have in other extracurricular areas, the auditorium in particular. And I'm very hopeful that there's some other really great things coming for us to focus on. It's just this was the low-hanging fruit that we could get at quickly. I'm very excited about it, but I also want to mention that I think it's important for us to focus on all of our extracurricular areas, and that the community knows that we are talking about that in great detail.
Mr. Azar, real quick, you said that this fitness center is also going to be used for physical education classes within the school day, right?
Yeah, it already is. So this fitness center is a classroom during the school day for our health and phys ed classes, and will continue to be.
So this will help to enhance the phys ed class?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert asks that the board consider a motion to accept the proposal from Giant Flooring in the amount of $11,950.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Mr. Medensky?
In the fitness room.
Fitness center.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert asks that the board consider a motion to accept the proposal from Deluxe Athletics in the amount of $67,375 for a ball catcher stopper at the high school track.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion?
I think I'll let Mr. Azar answer this. I've had a few calls today inquiring about what is this. So I think Mr. Azar can do a good job on this.
I was going to just make a general comment, but I'll explain what it is. So the ball catcher stopper is fencing that's going to go around basically the turns of the track and protect anyone that's outside of the fencing from lacrosse balls, mostly. Also from a soccer ball, but that's not going to do as much damage as a lacrosse ball. But it's a really great safety enhancement. It probably should have been done when we put the turf in. I don't think that anyone on the board or off the board anticipated just how much that turf field was going to get used once it got put in. It is being used tremendously. It's being probably overused, to be honest. But when the lacrosse team is on there, it's dangerous if you're anywhere near the end zones. And if you go to other schools, they have these. This is something that is very common at other schools and certainly at colleges that have lacrosse. If you're going to be on that field training lacrosse, you have to protect the people that are around it. And it's a big expense, but it really is necessary, and it's a great enhancement to safety at the high school.
And just to piggyback on that, there are, most of the time, over 300 students on that track. We have 200 students that participate in track and field alone. And then when you add on all the other sports, in the distance a lacrosse ball can travel. This is something that we should have had in place before, and will protect all of our student athletes as well as our community members there and our coaches.
Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, though. It's not just, the fence goes from like the 5-yard line all the way around the...
Yeah, it's basically from turn to turn. So that's, the 5-10 yard line all the way around. And two of them, both end zones, correct.
Other questions? Concerns? Roll
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Mr. Ackert asks the board consider a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing and securing a general obligation note in the principal amount of $1,047,000 to finance various capital projects.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? I'd like to compliment Mr. Mirabelli and the administration for a fine job putting all the data together for us. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdullah?
Yes.
Mr. Azar?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Karam?
Yes.
Mr. Medensky?
Yes.
Mr. Robson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney?
Yes.
Mr. Acker?
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, we have listed on our informational session some various use of facilities that are listed. We go from there to any unfinished business.
Mr. Ecker, just a heads up, our bi-monthly IT committee is scheduled to meet Wednesday, the second Wednesday in August, which I think is August 9th at 6:30.
Thank you. Any other, Mrs. Tierney?
Yes, tonight we just approved of some incredible new equipment and additional equipment and things for our track and field and our lacrosse, for our lacrosse team. I just am very concerned that we are not maintaining our facilities as best we can. There have been many reports that the turf field is overused, and there are some issues with the turf. I can say that the track right now is damaged, and there needs to be someone to look at. And I would recommend that we bring the company in that put this in to help us to learn how to maintain this. So we are, going to be able to sustain these equipment pieces and all this new stuff that we're bringing in. So it's been a concern for a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business or new business? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all very much.
Good Friday. Yeah. You get to lead our first team building activity. Oh, yeah.